Passion moves people. In my first company, I was 21. I had no business being in business. We grew an organization from 4 people in a dorm room to 96,000 people across the world. And if you interviewed those people today and they would say, you know what, why did you follow that Alex guy back in the day? One of the first things out of their mouth is, yeah, he was excited and he was passionate about what he was doing. I believed he believed where he was going, and that's how we followed what he was preaching. People may not remember the words coming out of your mouth, but they're going to remember how they felt when you were up there doing your thing. What's going on, everyone? Hey, welcome to another episode of the Alex Morton Show. Super fired up and excited, as always, to be here with every single one of you. If you have not yet subscribed, liked, and commented on YouTube or Apple or Spotify, wherever you're watching this transmission, go ahead and do that. You know, for the longest time, I wanted to make my own podcast. I've been interviewed on thousands of shows over the course of my, 34 years on planet Earth in a bunch of different countries. And finally, one day I woke up and I said, you know what? I need to make my own show. I need to make my own podcast where every single week I can sit down with you and really be your coach, your mentor, somebody that has probably gone through some of the challenges you're currently going through right now. We all know social media, it is a very, very loud and messy ecosystem out there. And I come to you, with somebody that has had results now and won at a high level in the world of business for well over a decade. So as always, I appreciate you taking time out of your commute to work, to the gym. Maybe you're at the gym. Listen, wherever you're watching this or listening to me right now, I want to say I'm grateful that you're here and I'm not going to waste your time. So today's episode, I want to get right in to this idea of you becoming a rock star public speaker. Okay. That also translates into, the boardrooms, the FaceTimes, the Zoom calls, your friendships, your relationships, your marriage, right? No matter who you are or what you do, at some point, you're going to have to be able to speak and transmit your thoughts, your energy, your emotions to somebody else, right? In 2011, when I got my first shot at entrepreneurship, right? Prior to that, I was doing real estate and I was making a little bit of money, listing people's houses and doing open houses and closing deals in Scottsdale, Arizona. But my first real, movement in the entrepreneurial space was when I joined the direct selling industry in 2011. Okay. And I'll tell you guys right now, in that first company, I became the youngest and fastest ever to earn $1 million. And I'm going to tell you guys right here, right now, complete God honest truth. I did not know every ingredient in the vitamins and the supplements. I did not even understand all of the content and the different vitamins in the healthy energy drink that we were pushing to the whole world. I'll tell you what I got good at. Speaking. I found a way to train myself, but also learn from other great speakers, great orators out there in the universe, right? And I became a solid public speaker, and that allowed me to close deals. If you're listening to this right now, maybe you're in real estate. Maybe you're in insurance, right? Maybe you are an aspiring, author, or you own a small business, or you own a podcast studio like the one I'm in right now. At some point, you're going to have to get on the phone, get on the Zoom, get on the FaceTime, get in front of a room of people and be able to close the deal, okay? So after speaking in over 77 countries around the world, right? Like I said, in that first company, man, I was in living room to living room to living room to dorm room to dorm room, and then eventually into hotels, and then eventually into stadiums and arenas. The smallest event I've ever spoken in front of people, it wasn't even one person. It was just me. I went to an event and there was nobody there and it was just me. And that scaled to, speaking a few years ago, my good friend Grant Cardone's 10X Growth Conference in the Marlins Stadium over here in Miami, Florida, in front of 30,000 people. So if you're watching this right now, maybe you have done some speaking in the past. Maybe you're actively trying to become a better presenter. Maybe you're somebody listening right now and you're like, Alex, I have the knowledge. I understand my product. I understand my service. I'm a confident guy. I'm a confident girl, but for some reason, I can't close the sales. I can't close the deals. Okay. So what I'm going to go over right now is really some rapid fire information and content on how you can transform yourself into a better speaker. And who knows, one day you might be sharing the stages with the David Goggins, the Les Browns, the Bob Proctors, the Tony Robbins of the world. Because a lot of you know my story, right? I grew up in middle-class America, small town in Bexley, Ohio, not a ton of talent, 5'9.5" on a good day, wasn't the fastest kid on the football field, wasn't the strongest guy in the weight room, but I always developed this insane ability to focus, build an insane level of obsession and work ethic. And I, even to this day, am a sponge. If I'm in the room with you, okay, and you have a result I don't have, maybe it's in fitness, maybe it's in a longer marriage than me, right? Maybe it's a higher net worth. Maybe it's perceived higher levels of happiness. I don't know. But if I think you're quote unquote beating me in something, I'm going to ask you every single question I can and soak up as much information as possible. Okay, that's what I did to become a great speaker. And I'm going to give you guys that right here, right now. So first, you must become a phenomenal storyteller. You must be able to tell and articulate compelling stories. Write this down. Facts tell, but stories sell. You're probably involved in sales at some level or some degree. That's why you're watching me right now, okay? And if you want to increase your sales, you want to make some more euros, dinero, pesos, US dollars, or Bitcoin, you got to get better at selling. A lot of selling is influence, and a lot of influence is speaking, and a lot of speaking is the ability to tell great stories. You need to craft your own story. Who were you before you found your thing, your opportunity, your mentor, the thing that made you a whole lot of money? Who were you prior to finding your company, product, service, opportunity? Then you talk about why it made so much sense to you. And then you talk about how your life has gotten better because of that product and or service and or opportunity and company. So it's really three parts of your story. And this translates into every industry out there where you're paid a commission on sales, period, end of story. You're a leader, you're leading a team, you're leading an organization, but at some degree in there, a product and service is being sold. I really believe that every industry, every company out there, if something isn't getting sold, if somebody isn't getting persuaded, if somebody isn't getting convinced to get out their American Express card and swipe that sucker, man, there ain't no money, there ain't no flow, and there ain't no check or commission for you. So become a master storyteller. Okay, next up, you want to make fun of yourself before everybody else does. I'm going to give you an example of this. In 2011, I joined my first network marketing company at the time, right? I had no results. I had no network. I had no net worth. I had nothing to lean on. Once I started to become a pretty solid speaker and we were signing people up, we were enrolling new customers, we were enrolling new leaders, right? I realized that I had a better closing rate and a closing ratio when I was eye level with the prospect. So at first I was doing a lot of one-on-one meetings, right? I would be out there meeting people, networking, prospecting, and then I would translate that into, hey, Andrew, meet me, at 9 a.m. tomorrow at Einstein Bagels on Arizona State's campus, right? Or, hey, Brian, meet me tomorrow at Chipotle at 11 a.m. And I would meet these people. And as I started to make even more money, right, I realized that if somebody believed that they could not do what I was doing, they were going to say no to the business, the opportunity, the product, and or the service. So what do I mean by that? When I say make fun of yourself before somebody else does, that's like a funny little line. But what I'm really telling you is you want to become eye level with the person you're trying to influence. So when I started speaking and closing and making money. And I became pretty much the biggest success story in my first company. And we were doing over $200 million in sales a year. And I was pretty much like one of the faces of that entire company. I realized that I needed to walk into a room and within the first 90 seconds, get everybody in the room to say, you know what? I heard a lot of great things about this Alex guy, but man, he's just like us. He's a normal guy from a normal family. He made it happen, and so can I. So one of the things that I would say as a joke to make sure I was, becoming eye level with the whole room and all of the prospects, whether it was one prospect or, 500 prospects, is I would say, I didn't get that grade of grades in school. I took Spanish 1 3.5 times. I was in slow math in high school, right? I'm not saying these things to beat myself up or destroy my self-image. I'm saying these things so, the guy in the front row with his arms crossed that is tuned out to the presentation so far, he's now going to be tuned in because he's going to say, you know what, if he can do it, I can do it, right? And that leads me to my next point. You want to be vulnerable, right? You want to be vulnerable. You want to be able to talk about some of your insecurities, talk about some of your fears. This social media world is so crazy, but one of the things to me, like when I look at people to listen to try to build relationships with, one of the things that I see as a constant is people that are actually successful. They're not afraid to talk about their shortcomings. They're not afraid to talk about their failures. Like I'm not afraid to talk about, I made almost $2 million between 2011 and 2014. And then one morning I woke up and I had less than $90,000 left of the 2 million. I'm not afraid to say these things because I feel like I'm actually one of those people out there that have built credible businesses and made tens of millions of dollars. And that's what I see. Like when you listen and hone in on people like a Grant Cardone or an Ed Milet or a Brendan Burchard, some of these people, Tony Robbins, right? Half the stuff Tony talks about is his childhood and his mom washing soap, spraying soap down his throat and all these tough times and Thanksgiving Day where the man tried to give the family a turkey and the dad got pissed off. Like the real successful people out there, they're not afraid to show their true colors. They're not afraid to show the things they went through, some of the setbacks, some of the temporary failures, right? And then the guy down the street with, the rented house, the rented Lambo, the rented girlfriend, the rented this, and a lot of fake crap going on, those people will never really talk about, their shortcomings, their insecurities, and some of their fears. So as a great speaker, you want to intertwine some of the things in your life that caused you some pain. Like this caused me pain. This is how I overcame that pain. When you do these things in a presentation, in a boardroom, raising money for private equity, network marketing, insurance, selling solar, door to door, what you're really doing is you're showing people that you are, in fact, also a human being. Even if you are this rock star in your company making $100,000 a month or $1 million a month or the youngest and fastest ever to do this or do that, you want to always bring yourself down to the prospects level so they can, in the back of their mind, in their subconscious mind, they can say, you know what, if she can do it, if she can go through all of that pain, all of that suffering and still make it out on top, if he was kicked out of the dorms at 18, if he was arrested by Tempe police, if he made 2 million and then blew it all partying and having fun and being an idiot, and then he's built this incredible life, so can I. You always want to be yourself. You always want to be authentic. You want to tell people who you are. And sometimes, guys, it's okay to be controversial. Now, if you ask me, Alex, if you could go back and change anything you've ever done or posted on social media, I would probably say and go back and be like, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't have posted all of the political stuff I've posted over the last 8 or so years. Other than politics, guys, I would not change anything. Some of my most piercing captions, my most piercing content that pissed people off. I posted a video 3 days ago. Pitbull telling everybody, hey, if you don't like America, God bless you, but you know what? Fuck you. And I posted it and I got tons of positive comments and I got tons of negative comments, right? But sometimes it's okay to be controversial if it is who you are. Like I pride myself, if I'm talking to you one-on-one or, I'm speaking Saturday obviously this video is going to be posted way later, but I'm speaking at FFL convention this Saturday in Dallas, Texas, in front of 7,000 people. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to talk to those 7,000 people like I'm talking to you right here, or I'm talking to my friend on the couch. Like, I am who I am, regardless of who I'm in front of. And that's just the way I am. Why? Because that is being genuine. That is being authentic. Be honest. Speak your mind. If it's a little bit controversial, that's okay. All right. So now I'm going to shift gears a little bit. And this is still talking about, public speaking. It's still talking about how to close more deals and make more money and influence more people and persuade more people to follow your vision, right? But it has to do with prospecting. If you're in real estate, if you're in door-to-door pest control, if you're in solar, if you're in financial education, network marketing, if you're health insurance, life insurance, you name the business, you name the company, at some point, probably you're going to have to do something called prospecting. Prospecting. What is prospecting, right? Well, you have cold market prospecting where you're talking to people that don't know you and you don't know them. There's warm market where there's a little bit of a relationship. There's hot market where it's your cousin, your brother, your sister, your best friend, right? It's social media prospecting where you might know them, they might know of you, but I'm going to give you my, $80 million tip on prospecting in the business world. You want to be interested, not just interesting. Okay. You want to be interested in other people, interested in other people's goals, dreams, aspirations, visions, pain points, challenges, right? Not just be interesting. Because after traveling to 77 countries, doing seminars, doing events, building businesses, over 2 billion in my career in global sales of products and services. Like, I know what I'm talking about when it comes to this stuff. I don't get on here and try to teach you about, astrophysics or speaking German or, being fluent in speaking French. No, I get on here and talk about things that, I've done at a very, very high level, and I know they work. That's why I started this show in the damn first place. So when you're prospecting people, regardless of the industry or the profession, be interested in other people, not just be interested. Because this is what I found out. Everybody you talk to, this is what's on their forehead. Ready? WIIFM. That is everybody's favorite radio station. Ready? WIIFM. What's in it for me? What's in it for me? When I pull up in present day in Miami or Chicago or Vegas, and I'm doing business meetings, and I walk in there and I talk about, I've got $600,000 in watches. I got a $500,000 Rolls Royce Cullinan. My wife and I own, our real estate portfolio is over $10 million. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody gives a shit about any of that stuff, man. All they want to know is, what's in it for me? How can you help me? Whether they're thinking it consciously or they're thinking it subconsciously, they're thinking it. What's in it for me? And if you want to really build relationships with people, ask good questions. Get to know people. Ask good questions, right? And when you're doing all of that in prospecting, okay, you're doing all of that with also real life, raw, authentic passion. Write that down. Passion. Passion moves people, ladies and gentlemen. My first company, I was 21. I had no business being in business, right? We grew an organization from 4 people in a dorm room to 96,000 people across the world. And if you interviewed those people today and they would say, you know what, why did you follow that Alex guy back in the day? One of the first things out of their mouth is, yeah, he was excited and he was passionate about what he was doing. He believed where he was going, and that's how we followed what he was preaching. And that's just the bottom line. Okay. The company didn't blow up because the vitamin juice tasted so damn good or the energy drink gave you wings. None of that shit. Okay. It got crazy. It went viral. It was a movement because of the raw, real life, authentic passion of myself and the top leaders of that organization. So what does that mean to you watching this right now? It means whether you're leading one, which is just yourself, or you're leading many, hundreds, if not thousands of people in any industry out there, you got to be passionate. You got to have a vision. You got to know where you are going. And when it comes to speaking, I'll tell you what, write this one down too. People may not remember all of the words that came out of your mouth, but they will remember how they felt listening to those words. What does that mean? That means people may not remember the words coming out of your mouth, but they're going to remember how they felt when you were up there doing your thing. Listen, I went to UPW Tony Robbins, Dallas, Texas, probably 10 years ago, okay, with my little sister, okay? And we walked on fire for the very first time. We sat through a Tony Robbins event, 4 days. If you guys know Tony, it's 13 hours, 14 hours, 15 hours. I mean, it was unbelievable, right? We're walking on fire at literally 2 a.m. in a freaking parking lot. I mean, it's unbelievable. And after the event, or a week after the event, or a month after the event, if you came up to me and said, talk about what Tony talked about, I could give you a few things, but the God honest truth is, it was more of the emotions I felt while the man was talking, the emotions I felt the entire weekend through his power, his passion, his authenticity to help people, him being a genuine human being, right? So whether you're an introvert, extrovert, whatever you want to call yourself, right? At some point when it's time to do business, ladies and gentlemen, you got to bring the passion. You got to bring the power and let people know that, hey, this is the plan. This is the blueprint. This is where we're going. Let's rock and roll. And as a speaker, right? You're crafting good stories. You're bringing the facts. You're bringing the figures. You're asking good questions. You're interested in the audience or the prospect, not just interesting. And you always want to have an attitude of a giver. Okay. I've been in enough events, guys. I've shared stages with John C. Maxwell, Bob Proctor, Tony Robbins, David Goggins, Shannon Sharp, Barbara Cochran, the Shark Tank lady, Damon John, the Shark Tank guy. Like I've been around a lot of these amazing people. They're all people and they're all amazing. But I'll tell you what, within the first 5 minutes of listening to somebody talk, if they're there to give or if they're there to take, right? You want to be a giver. You want to show up on stage or in that boardroom or in that home meeting presentation. The attitude is, I'm here to give. I'm here to serve. I'm here to change somebody's life. I'm here to make a difference. If you can operate with that mentality and that attitude, every door you walk in, every event you go to, every home presentation, right? Every big conference, every big seminar, right? I'm here to give. I'm here to teach. I'm here to learn. And I'm here to make this room and make these people and make this world a better place, guys. You will become a phenomenal speaker. You will change lives. And remember, if you're watching this right now and you're like, you know what, Alex, it's easy for you to say, man, I see your flyer. You just posted you're about to be on a European tour, speaking in 8 different countries. You've done that 15 times throughout your career. You've been all over the world, right? You're friends with the Gary Vaynerchuks and the Ed Miletts and the Grant Cardones. It's easy for you to say, this is my message to you, okay? I was 18 years old, a freshman at Arizona State University, eating ramen noodles out of a styrofoam cup bowl thing. No money, no car, big dream, big vision. If I can do it, so can you. I hope you guys got a lot of content and value out of this Alex Morton Show episode. Listen, if you're getting value, drop me a comment, share this with some people. And like I always say, listen, the more people you share it with, the more people we're going to help make the rest of your day the best of your day. And I will see you next week for another Alex Morton Show. God bless you. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.